Alright you lot, welcome back to the channel where we say it how it is, no sugarcoating, no fluff, just brutal, honest truth about world of gaming and how it's screwing with your head. Today we're diving into twisted effects, influencer and streaming culture on young gamers. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. We've got some real eye-openers, like kids thinking the KD ratio is a job qualification. What in the actual... But before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe and all that bollocks, it helps channel grow. Apparently. Right, let's get into it. Right, let's talk about this KD ratio madness, shall we? Imagine this, I'm scrolling through Gaming Forum, as you do, and I come across a comment from a lad asking someone how they expect to get a job with KD below 0.5. A job, mate. And just when you think that's as daft as it gets, they even go on to say, no girl's ever gonna like you with stats like that. I had to stop and check I wasn't in a parody site. But here we are, folks. This is where influencer culture has dragged us. We've got kids genuinely believing the worth in life, in real life, hinges on how many digital bodies they can stack in a multiplayer game. All cause some loudmouth on a stream has made it big, chatting down mic about the god tier skills and raking in views. Suddenly every young gamer out there thinks that's standard. If they're not best, they're not winning every match. They're failing, and it's eating them alive. You got young gamers angry at themselves for not being good enough, smashing controllers, raging like they're about to be evicted from life itself because they didn't carry team in some random match. Worst part, these streamers, these influencers, have become role models. What kind of message are they sending? You're going to be perfect or you know. Seriously, what the hell happened to gaming for fun? Why has it turned into this competition to be next streaming superstar? Why do we let this be standard? Driving gamers into a state where they think their self-worth is defined by a number on a scoreboard. And I'm telling you, it's not only wrong, it's dangerous. Now let's dig into real damage here. Mental toll. Because yeah, it's more than just some stat on a screen. We got young gamers beating themselves up because they aren't pulling off 360 no-scopes. Or because the win rate ain't 99%. They start thinking the failures. And I mean failures at life, not just in game. Why? Because somewhere down the line they've been fed this idea that if they're not best at something, they're worthless. Let me tell you, this isn't just about gaming anymore. It bleeds into every corner of their lives. Kids getting anxious, stressed, even depressed. Because they're not living up to ridiculous standards set by these so-called influencers. And don't get me wrong, it's not just gaming itself causing this. Gaming's supposed to be a bloody good time, an escape. But when you got a 14-year-old losing sleep over why they're not hitting a 2.0 KD, something's gone seriously wrong. Take a moment to think about how twisted this is. Imagine a world where your self-worth is defined by how many heads you pop in a virtual world. That's where we are now. And this isn't just a small group of kids, this has become norm. There are teens out there who genuinely believe the future prospects, the friendships, and even the relationships depend on their gaming performance. It's all part of this gotta be best mentality that streaming culture has shoved down their throats. And you know what really gets me? It's silence from top streamers, ones with power to change this. They're too busy flexing their wins and raking in donations to say, hey, it's alright if you're not god at a game, it doesn't define you. Instead, it's get good or get lost. And that, my friends, is where the real problem lies. So let's turn the spotlight on influencers and streamers themselves, shall we? These guys sitting in the gaming chairs, raking in cash from sponsorships and donations, have more influence than most parents or teachers when it comes to today's gamers. And what are they doing with it? Pushing this toxic win-at-all-cost mentality like it's only way to make it. And you know what? It's working. Not in a good way, it's working like poison. Look, I'm not saying these streamers don't work hard. Hell, they're putting hours, grinding, content creation. It's a job itself. But they've got to realise that what they say and do in stream ripples out to thousands, sometimes millions of impressionable young minds. When message is you need to be best or you're irrelevant, you're not just damaging your viewers' self-esteem, you're shaping an entire generation's view on what success looks like. And let's talk about ridiculous performances these influencers pull off. You know what ones? Perfect headshots, insane reaction times, never miss a beat. What a lot of young gamers don't realise is half of that is down to perfect conditions, heavily edited videos, and probably a smidge of luck. But that's not what gets sold. Instead, kids are watching this thinking, that's standard I need to hit or I'm trash. They don't see hours of failures and retires that get cut out. It's like watching highlights reel of someone's life and thinking your day-to-day should look like that. And when these influencers do speak up, what do they say? Well, you've got to grind, you've got to want it more, you've got to get good. Kind of advice is that? You're telling young gamers to throw everything into this narrow view of success. But no one's reminding them that for every one streamer who makes it big, there are thousands who are busting their asses and getting nowhere. No one's telling them that it's okay to just enjoy a game without needing to be a pro. So where's responsibility? If you've got thousands of people hanging on your every word, it's time to stop selling them this toxic fantasy and start reminding them that gaming is supposed to be fun, not a reason to hate themselves. Look, let's hit you with reality check, because it's time to snap you out of this nonsense. You don't need to be best. Let me repeat that for people in back who've had their brains fried by Twitch streamers. You don't need to be best to enjoy gaming, to have a life, to feel good about yourself. This obsession with perfection is a cancer that's spreading through the gaming community, and it's time we put a stop to it. Look, I get it. Winning feels good. Smashing competition? Sure, that gives you a buzz. But newsflash, not everyone's going to be a pro. Not everyone's going to have a 3.0 KD ratio or be signed with some fancy esports team. And guess what? That's perfectly fine. Gaming it's supposed to be this gladiator pit where only strongest survive and everyone else gets eaten alive. It's meant to be entertainment, a way to relax, to have fun with your mates, maybe even escape from brutal grind of reality for a bit. You got these young gamers out there absolutely hating themselves because they're not performing like some top tier streamer, thinking that if they're not best, they're not even worthy of picking up a controller. That's rubbish. You don't need to be best at best to enjoy gaming, or to even be good at it. Hell, you don't need to be good at all. Play for fun, play for experience. Play because it makes you happy, not because some online rando says you need to get good or you're trash. There's no rule book that says, thou shalt not enjoy games if thou art god at them. Yet we've got these kids pushing themselves to brink of madness, trying to achieve a level of gaming excellence that quite frankly don't matter. You're not going to land a job because of your KD ratio. You're not going to win over a date because how many hours you've spent grinding ranked matches. It's just pixels on a screen, mate. None of that translates to real-world success. And while we're on subject, what's obsession with treating gaming like it's a career move for everyone? Yeah, there are some who can make a living off it, but vast majority of gamers are not going to be next big Twitch star, and that's okay. You can be a gamer without having to turn it into your entire identity or livelihood. Gaming ain't life, it's a hobby. Enjoy it for what it is, not what you think it needs to be. Now let's talk about dream everyone seems to be chasing, making it in gaming. You know what one? Quitting your job, sitting in your mum's basement streaming 12 hours a day and getting rich off donations and sponsorships. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, I'm here to burst your bubble faster than a bad connection in the middle of a match. It's ass truth. 99.9% of you are not going to make it big in gaming. I don't care how good you think you are, how many headshots you land, or how many followers you've on some half-baked social media account. Odds of becoming next Shroud, Ninja, or whatever streamer is hot this week are about as same as getting struck by lightning while winning lottery. Twice! That's reality. And before you start crying, but what about so-and-so, they did it? Yeah, well, for every one person who makes it big, there are thousands who are grinding away with 0 views and a bank balance that looks like a horror movie. You need to stop pretending that gaming success is some guaranteed path if you just grind harder or want it more. This isn't one of those motivational posters in a school gym, mate. This is real world, where life is brutal and not everyone's going to be a star. Even if you do manage to break into industry, guess what? It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a reason why so many streamers and pro gamers burn out. Constant pressure to perform, need to stay relevant. Daily grind of trying to keep people watching, it's exhausting. And mentally, it takes a toll. You gotta be on all the time. One bad stream, one bad performance, and suddenly people are turning out faster than your internet cuts during a storm. It's like trying to balance on a knife's edge, and for what? A few thousand extra followers will ditch you in the second you stop being entertaining. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you can't make it. Some of you might. But for crying out loud, have some realistic expectations. Don't throw your whole life away thinking that if you just game hard enough, success will come knocking. Real world don't work like that. You need backup plans, skills, and life outside of gaming. Because if you're relying on your KD to get you through life, I've got bad news for you. Reality's about to hit you harder than a no-scope headshot. So stop putting all your eggs in gaming success basket. Focus on what's actually gonna get you somewhere in life. Work, education, real-world experience. Gaming is a hobby, not a life plan. Treat it that way. Now let's bring it home with some cold hard facts. It's time to talk about setting realistic expectations and getting your priorities straight. Cause trust me, if you think grinding games 24/7 is your golden ticket to success, you got your head stuck further up your ass than you realise. First things first, life comes first, games come last. Let me spell it out for you folks in cheap seats. Your future don't depend on how well you play Call of Duty or Fortnite. It depends on what you do in real world. We're talking about things like education, learning actual skills, getting experience in jobs that don't involve screaming into a microphone while teabagging some poor bloke that you just outgunned. Because unless you plan on living in your mum's spare room forever, you're going to need more than a KD ratio to get by in life. I get it, gaming's fun. It's an escape, and sometimes you think, hey, I'm good at this, maybe I can make it in my job. But it's reality check. But majority of you, it's not going to happen. And even if you're one lucky few, you're not going to last forever. So you got to ask yourself, what's my backup plan? If you're banking on gaming as your only route to success, you're gambling with your future. And let's be honest, house always wins. What you need is balance. Gaming's not going anywhere. It's a hobby, a way to unwind. But if you're skipping school, blowing off work, or ignoring real life opportunities because you think you're going to be the next big streamer, you're setting yourself up for a rude awakening. You got to put work where it actually matters. Get your qualifications, get a job, build a career, and then, when you've got your life sorted, game as much as you want. But until you've handled basics or adulthood, stop acting like a pro gamer's career is going to fall into your lap. And while we're at it, lower those damn expectations. You don't have to be best player in the world to enjoy gaming. You don't even have to be particularly good. Stop stressing over stats and stop letting other people's highlight reels convince you that your average performance ain't good enough. It's a game. Play it, have fun, and get on with your life. Only thing you should be grinding is real world skills and goals that actually get you somewhere. At the end of the day, life's unfair, and not everyone makes it in big leagues. That's just the way it is. So stop pretending gaming is your only shot at greatness and start building a future that don't rely on fickle gods or esports and streaming. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later. Now, before you go back to your next match or finally pick up that job application you've been putting off, do me a favour. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and leave your comments and questions below. I might just feature them on channel. You never know. I'll see you next time, you magnificent.